Hey, this is Joel Oney at the J Money Studio in the heart of the Buckeye State. And I want to personally welcome you to today's episode of the Steel Kings podcast with my good friends Jared Ledford and Eric Olson, better known to you as the Steel Kings. Be sure to check out jmoneyllc.com for financing solutions for your buildings. And now, let's get back to the Steel Kings podcast.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Jared and this is the Steel Kings podcast. Eric is on an assignment with the Pole Barn crew today, so it's me rocking solo, but I'm not coming alone today. I've got a couple of special guests in the studio with me today. Quick shout out to the team over at J Money. If you are a contractor, a metal building dealer, shed dealer, really any kind of home improvement at all, the team over at J Money can get you taken care of on your financing needs. Contact Joel, Katie, the team over at J Money. They will be happy to help you with your financing needs. Quick shout out and plug to our podfather, Shannon, over at the Shed Geek podcast. Check his show out on Wednesdays. He has had some special guests here recently, and we are getting into some fun stuff there on Wednesdays as well. The guys over at Shed Geek Marketing, Dylan and his team, are doing a great job. If you are a metal building dealer, shed dealer, really anybody who's using marketing, if you're on social media, Google, check out the team over at Shed Geek Marketing. They're happy to get you started down the track to success. Without further ado, you guys have heard me talk about now, we're on episode 9, 10, something like that. For the last couple months, you guys have gotten to know me, gotten to know Eric a little bit. Y'all know that we sling sheds and metal buildings nationwide. On the metal building side, we're getting into tri-state coverage with our wood sheds. But, you've heard us talk about some of the struggles we've had over the years to find the right partner when it comes to wood sheds. And let me tell you something. Sheds Direct has been great to us. You guys have heard us rep them over the last couple of months. What I'm really excited about today is I get to have them in the studio with me. A couple of guys who have really, one guy who's been an advocate for Dayton Barnes for a long time, was riding with us for a short time as well. Really helped us start and grow this business and took his talents over to Sheds Direct. And let me tell you something. Very, very, very seldom in your life do you meet somebody that you have an immediate connection with. A little over a year ago, a guy stepped into our shop that really changed the way that I thought about slinging wood sheds. I'm going to introduce you guys to JW Rucker. He's the district sales manager for Sheds Direct. And I'm also going to introduce you to the business development director for Sheds Direct, Mark Church. And let me tell you something. Mark is a very special guy. Very, very seldom do you meet somebody that has his talent and his love for the industry. He and I had an immediate connection. And the joke that we always ask each other is, how many people have you met with my energy level? And how many people have I met with Mark's? And the answer that I always give Mark is, I have never met anybody who loves slinging sheds like Mark Church. So let me tell you something, guys. I am super pumped up and excited to bring these guys into the studio. These two guys are from Sheds Direct, and let me tell you something. We are proud and happy to be a Sheds Direct dealer. Without further ado, JW, Mark, you guys are here in the studio with the Steel Kings, with Jared. What's up? How's it going?
What's up, Jared? How are you today, buddy?
I am blessed beyond my comprehension this morning. I can tell you, we ran into some technical difficulties. I'll give you a little peek behind the curtain. These guys are sitting there laughing at me because I went through the whole spiel. I did the advertising, I did the hype up, and they're just sitting there thinking, Jared, your microphone's off, brother. So we're finally in the studio. We're finally here. So man, I'm better than I deserve this morning. How's that?
Why I was texting JW like, do I supposed to be able to hear him? Does he supposed to be able to hear me? How does this usually work? Honestly, man, I'm super excited to be here. I feel like I'm on Fox News right now. With the whole podcast thing. I'm super excited.
Yep.
While I travel, I listen to podcasts quite often. I've been listening to the Steel Kings podcast. Here probably over the last 6 months. Shannon doesn't know this, but I've definitely been a Shed Geek podcaster as well. And so super excited to finally be on one of these and be able to answer questions and talk to you guys about Sheds Direct.
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is something. So I was telling at the beginning, you came to me about a year ago, and this is Mark. So Mark walks in the door, and I don't know Mark from anybody else. He's a complete stranger to me. And I mean, you can already hear it in his voice. He's got a uniqueness to who he is. And man, he sold me that second. I was ready to, I mean, you'd have to tell us, Mark, but I mean, I was ready to sign up that second. Now at the time, the ironic part is JW was working with us
Yep.
and had been for a while. And it's been a tumultuous, to say the least, shed partnerships over the years.
Mm-hmm.
We have a rule here: we don't talk bad about anybody, and not that those relationships were bad, but when the relationship's good when it's good, right?
Yes.
How good the grass can be when it's green. So
Yes.
I can tell you, we've been repping you guys for the last few months, and we couldn't be happier with what we've got so far. So first of all, thank you from the Dayton Barnes team and Steel Kings. But tell us a little bit about yourselves, guys. I mean, that's usually what we do here first, is we introduce and tell us a little bit about yourselves and your product, and kind of go from there.
JW, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll take the lead. So my name's JW Rucker. I have been blessed to be in the shed industry since I was 16 years old. So I got linked up with Eric Olson, who obviously isn't here today, but awesome man. We linked up. He asked me to help him out at his shed lot one day, and it was a rainy day, horrible weather day. I was 16 years old, and somehow I sold 7 sheds that day and had to call Eric for every single one of them and ask him for help on how to do it. So, I mean, it's been a journey ever since then. I was so thankful that he gave me that opportunity. We were able to kind of grow this business. I remember meeting Jared. Jared came along and really put gas in our engine to continue to grow the business. And then last year, I made the transition over to the manufacturing side of things and took a role here at Sheds Direct, and have been super happy since. Super thankful to work at the team at Sheds Direct. We are proud to service many states in the Mid-Atlantic and then over in the Midwest. So I'm the district sales manager for our Ohio, Indiana, and Michigan districts. And it's just been an exciting opportunity. And through it all, I've still got to keep my relationship with Eric and Jared and the crew at Dayton Barnes and be able to help them, meet their shed needs, sell sheds, and be successful. So super thankful for being here today. Thanks for having us on, Jared.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah. What's up, guys? My name is Mark Church. I've been with Sheds Direct since 2018. A funny fact about me, I am clean shaven today, but at one time in my life, my beard was as long as Jared's. Okay. So I decided to take a sabbatical and move to Wyoming and live in the mountains of the Bridger Tetons for about a year until I just got too cold and said, man, I've got to get back south. My bloodline was not designed for 5 feet of snow. So at that time, Jared, I had that beard going, but no, came from, I started with SDI in August 2018. Previously, I was with United Parcel Service in their sales management teams for about 12 years, and have 3 children, a wife. At that time, I was traveling to multiple states all over the place. And so I was also, one of my hobbies is coaching ball. I love to coach baseball, youth baseball. And so I was on a baseball field, and our founder, I was actually coaching his son at the time. We strike up a conversation, and I said, man, you can't make any money selling sheds. What are you talking about? And so he said, hey, come to the office. Let's sit down and talk about it. So from there, 2018, Sheds Direct was definitely a much different entity at that time. From, transitioning through COVID, now post-COVID, we've definitely been highly blessed and super excited about the future and things to come, especially about our partnerships with individuals such as Dayton Barnes, such as Jared and his team, and really that collaboration of technology and really the desire to sling sheds is what I say. And so just super excited about the future for sure.
Hello, shed sellers. Did you catch the latest Real Work Labs interview with George Converse? If not, don't miss this value-packed episode. Head to Shed Geeks Podcast YouTube and search Real Work Labs. George and the Real Work Labs crew are riding the wave of Google's latest updates, taking your digital presence to the next level. We're tech artisans, crafting your neighborhood brand voice for shed sellers like you to stand out, gain trust, and get found online. Our software will easily capture your work snapshots, videos, weave your craft's story, and get reviews all in one virtual experience. Our innovation goes beyond getting found for your business location, rather getting found for your work locations. Reviews intertwine with their corresponding job sites. When potential customers seek local expertise, you're the proven solution they'll find. It's high time to map your reviews and showcase your beautiful work in a meaningful way that builds trust in customers' neighborhoods. Ready for the journey? Visit shedgeek.realworklabs.com or call George today at 480-787-7575. Real Work Labs, elevating your trust, increasing your conversions, and getting you found where you work in the neighborhoods you serve, one shed at a time.
Yeah, so I'm going to jump right in here. I want to hear what you guys are seeing market-wise, right? So industry trends heading into 2025 sales season. Is there anything that you guys can share with a broad audience, right? We talk to manufacturers, other manufacturers, we talk to dealers, we talk to suppliers. We've got a little bit of everybody in the pool here of the audience of the Steel Kings podcast. What are you guys seeing? I mean, I know from our perspective, we're seeing the business is down a little bit this year, right? And we have to do something creative. Dayton Barnes is obviously, we're a national, kind of a conglomerate at this point for metal buildings. What we're trying to do is we're trying to really find a niche with our wood buildings. We've, over the last couple of years, we really peaked probably in 2021, 2022 with our wood sales, and then struggled with our supplier at that time. And then really, when we got with you guys last year, we got kind of at the tail end of the season. We didn't get our supply until midsummer, and we had a great fall, and we're having a really strong start to our year. But I think there's a lot of people out there listening to the podcast now that are like, man, do I want to sell sheds anymore?
Right.
What are you guys seeing? I think it's right now, it's where does Sheds Direct see the industry going? Is it technological? Is it, what do we need to do as a whole, as an industry?
JW, you want to take this? You want me to take it?
You take it. You take it. I'll jump in.
So first off, I would say this. COVID was a blessing in the shed industry for many reasons. It also, with COVID, it brought tremendous challenge when you look at just the pressure of supply chain, the pressure of production, deliveries, just system overload. No one has ever managed in our generation. No one has ever managed an organization in any industry during a pandemic, and nobody has ever managed one post-pandemic. Okay, so the first thing I would tell you is coming out of COVID now. 2023 really was the year we came out of COVID. It was a struggle for many reasons. Every dealer that I spoke to, SDI or non-SDI, was, it was in that downturn. Every, finance company, RTO company, any partner at that time that was in the shed industry, I would have, weekly, monthly conversations with. It was a struggle for everyone. And really, you had to pivot daily to really stay in front of the ebbs and flows of the industry. Coming into 2024, we are really, really excited, mainly because our mindset in the fourth quarter of 2020, coming into 2025, we're really excited. Our mindset in the fall of 2024 was, hey, you know what? We're not sure what 2025 is going to do. We're not sure what 2026 is going to do. We're not sure what tomorrow is going to do. Okay. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we're going to really develop a strategy and try to implement that. So far, the biggest challenge that we have seen coming into 2025 is really the weather situation, something that we could never predict. Some of our areas, Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, saw tremendous amounts of cold weather, tremendous amounts of snow. We have a dealer up near the Cleveland market, and so I called him he had a tremendous November, a tremendous December, and January, man, just was not really in the picture. And I called him. I said, "What happened? What's going on?" He said, "I haven't seen my lot in 30 days." He said, "I've got 2 feet of snow on the pavement right now." So, first off, that situation, even down in the South, we saw more cold weather and snow than we have in many, many years. Our dealers in the eastern strand of South Carolina, North Carolina, all the way up into Virginia, they were getting snow. Places at the beach, 4 to 5, 6 inches of snow. So, number one, the winter was a struggle. What we have seen since then is a very, very strong end of February, March, and April, and really building that momentum going into 2025. We started to see that with our dealers in the South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia. Really started to see that towards probably that last week of Virginia into March. And now we're seeing this momentum shift in April with our dealers in Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York. So, from an industry standpoint, I do keep in touch with multiple builders, keep in touch with multiple competitive dealers. And so far, I think that we were anticipating another struggle, and not saying that, hey, it's all roses, but I do believe that the industry as a whole on the shed side is really excited about what's to come throughout 2025 into 2026 and definitely in the future. So starting to see that momentum ramp, starting to see people get excited about, like I say, coming in early and staying late, slinging sheds, calling old leads, posting, whatever it is. People are really starting to get excited again and feel like the industry is starting to come back very, very aggressively.
Yeah,
I think
I'll second that if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The biggest difference that I've seen, 23 and 24 were challenging post-COVID, as Mark said. In 2020, 2021, 2022, dealers were used to having a line out their door. In all seriousness, like whether they were a good dealer or a bad dealer, like you could be bad at selling sheds and have a line out your door in 2020 or in 2021.
Yeah.
23 and 24, that just wasn't the case. And you had to get creative. You had to kind of figure out how to advertise online. You had to figure out how to have a better sales pitch, because it wasn't people coming with pockets full of money trying to spend it. It was you were fighting to earn business, and you kind of had to adapt and learn that. So far in 2025, I'll echo Mark, though. The winter was the most challenging. I've lived in Ohio for 7 or 8 years now. This was the most challenging winter that I can remember. In terms of we got 16 inches of snow one day, and 7 days later we got 6 more on top of it in January, and just record cold temperatures. And it was definitely a challenge, but I think there's some more excitement. I talk to my entire team pretty much every day of dealers, and they're all excited, man. They're starting to get some lines out their door. Really, that last week of February, it just kind of busted loose, and February, March, and April have been a blessing so far.
Yeah, I think coming off of 24, I think we had a couple of different things, right? There's always the uncertainty in the political climate when there's an election going on. I think there's a lot of things that we're heading. 2024 was just a rough year across the board, I think, for portable building dealers, metal building dealers. I know we talked about it. We've talked about it at length. I think the one thing is we transition into, I want to talk a little bit about, JW refers to this price, quality, and service triangle. We'll talk a little bit about that. But I think from a dealer perspective, somebody who's been on the opposite side, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm not excited. These guys sound excited, but I'm not excited. I'm struggling. I can tell you, I was there this time last year. So this time last year, I'm a dealer who's coming off of a really strong 23. And JW can attest to this. We had a really, really, really good relationship with our manufacturer at that time. And if you would have asked me in January of 24, if I was interested in changing shed manufacturers, I would have told you there wasn't a snowball's chance. 0% going to happen. But 2 or 3 months goes by and promises made were promises not kept, right? And if you're sitting back and you're dealing with something like that, really take a hard look, because the way the JW and Mark are right. The way the market was during COVID and post-COVID, immediately post-COVID, there were so many more manufacturers there were so many more buildings to go around. The building materials were cheaper than they are right now. A lot of that stuff has changed. And if you're a dealer and you don't know, I'm telling you, these guys will back me up. The market has changed tremendously for a manufacturer over the last couple of years. And that, from a dealer perspective, is always hard to understand. It's hard to sit back when you're used to getting inventory on a regular basis, and all of a sudden you're not getting inventory as regularly as you were. Well, that's because building materials are more expensive. That's because it's harder to produce a shed right now than it was 2 or 3 years ago. Not to mention municipalities, we all know, are getting harder to deal with. Sheds are becoming something that needs to be permitted heavily across the board. You might be in a situation where you're looking for site-specific blueprints on a wood shed. We had one last year here in Champaign County, Ohio. I had to get site-specific blueprints and, all these different things for a shed. And I've never had to do that before. Never had to have foundation stuff. Never had to care about that stuff. Here where I'm at in Champaign County, you have to have a 36-inch frost footer for any wood shed over 200 square feet. Figure that out. Got to be anchored to a 36-inch frost footer, not a 32-inch, 36-inch now, because the code's changed. So, you're asking a customer to spend thousands of dollars more than the price of a shed just to get a shed here in Champaign County. So, with all of that said, I want to talk about that price, quality, and service triangle with you guys. I want to talk about what's important to a dealer perspective, because I feel like right now I have the best shed. I have certainly top-notch service. I can't think of a time we've had any kind of customer service issue, knock on wood. And the pricing is fair.
Mm-hmm.
JW, explain that to me.
Yeah, I think
that's really your baby.
Yeah, this is something that we talk about a lot internally at Sheds Direct, and try to balance it. It's, as Jared said, the price, quality, and service triangle. Call it whatever you want. That's kind of what it is. Price is pretty straightforward. Obviously, that's the price of the product you're selling. Quality is obviously straightforward. That's how good is the product you're selling. What materials are you using? Are the rafters 48-inch? Or are they 16-inch? Somewhere in between. What are the wall studs? And how far your joists spaced and things of that nature. And then service kind of encompasses a wide array. It's, what systems and processes do you have? It's how fast is your lead time? That's big for a customer. And obviously what kind of customer and dealer support that you have on the back end of your organization. And it's a challenge to find a balance between those three, because you really can't be the best at all three. It's impossible. Can you have bits and pieces of all three? Definitely. But that's finding that balance and kind of limboing to figure out, hey, what is more important in the market right now? But even more so, what is our identity as an organization? And we've been having a lot of internal conversations about that recently. And I think if you go back before COVID in the shed industry and you talk to every big manufacturer, they would all tell you they had an identity. Hey, we pride ourselves on this. When COVID happened and all of a sudden the industry just blew up, it was, you could put 100 buildings on a $300,000 dealer's lot because you had the cash to do it. You could, have whatever systems you needed to have or lack thereof because sheds were still selling. You could be as good quality or as bad quality as you wanted to be because people were still buying it.
Are your shed sales down? Maybe you heard the latest news. Shed Geek and Shed Hub are now working together for the benefit of the shed industry. That's right, Shed Geek is now a managing partner for Shed Hub. One thing we want to instill immediately is your confidence in this service. The Shed Geek and Shed Hub collaborative effort means you will get the same trusted visibility from the awesome SEO efforts already created by the Shed Hub team, while resting in the fact that Shed Geek will be streamlining the seller interface, website, and overall simplicity of the service. Shed Hub has already done the work to ensure that we are the most visible shed shopping website. And here are the analytics to prove that. During the month of March 2025, Shed Hub had over 2 million impressions and over 41,000 clicks from search. This means someone is on the Shed Hub site every 60 seconds shopping for a shed. Why not have your sheds visible for just $39 per month? You can get signed up today by going to www.shedhub.com getshedhub.com. Once you sign up, a customer representative will reach out within 1 to 2 business days to ensure that you are onboarded and understand the program completely. Don't wait. Sell more sheds today using shedhub.com by going to www.getshedhub.com.
And I think in the midst of that, we kind of had a bit of an identity crisis, for lack of a better term, in the industry of all of a sudden, all of the manufacturers are trying to be the best at price, the best at quality, and the best at service. And it's just never attainable. And, we're seeing, Jared's heard me say a lot, the cream starts to rise to the top. I think it did so a little bit in 24. It's going to continue to do so in 25. On people who are still aggressively fighting and trying to be the best at all three are not going to survive. And that's just the fact of the matter. And this is more on a manufacturer side of things, but also this is important for dealers to understand. If you're dealer discounting every building, over half your commission just to be the best price, like you're devaluing what you're bringing to the table and what you're offering. And I think that's just a challenge. So we've really been trying to find the happy medium of at Sheds Direct. We know we build one of the best sheds on the market, and we're proud of that. 16-inch on center. We're proud of our hurricane ties and some of the other products that we offer, and we're blessed to be able to do that and provide those. We try to market at an aggressive price, and we stay. Mark is the man on the road. He's constantly going out and visiting dealers, talking with manufacturers, not even like behind people's backs. He just walks in and introduces himself and talks about where they're priced, and what they're seeing in the industry. And he does a phenomenal job at that. And we like to understand, where we're at and stay aggressive and competitive with the pricing. We're not going to be the cheapest, but we don't want to be the cheapest because we know we're offering one of the best. And then on the service side of things, we have a very quick lead time in the industry. Right now, obviously spring rush, it's a little longer than usual, but we're consistently 2 to 3 weeks on a custom build, sometimes even shorter than that in some of our southern districts. And we're proud of what we offer, our technology and our systems and our order processing for dealers and the speed and the fluidity that we bring to the table with that. So it's a balancing act. And Mark, I'll let you touch on anything you want to touch on there as well with the kind of triangle we discuss.
Yeah, no, I think that JW hit it, pretty well. I mean, I would say this. So, from a price and service and quality standpoint, I'm a sales guy through and through. I'm not highly detailed, nor am I very good at pivot tables or Excel spreadsheets. Okay. That's just not my strong suit. I'm a sales guy, right? So I love talking to people, meeting shed friends. I'll be up front with you. Hey, I will, I'm proud to work in the industry. There's plenty of customers. Everybody's trying to feed our families, right? Like I mentioned earlier, I got 3 kids, a wife. We're trying to feed our families. There's enough customers to go around to for everybody to be successful. One of the things that was a struggle with SDI is pre-COVID, we spent a tremendous amount of investment training dealers how to sell, what to do, points of contact, all that stuff. Well, COVID comes along and changes the mindset. We became order takers, right? We no longer were shed sellers. We became order takers. It was easy. You know what I'm saying? Pivoting over to 2025, I am a big data guy. So customers are looking for a quality product at a great price that's super easy to deal with and get into. And so you can't really be all three. Okay. Here's an example of that. We have a value line. We call it the Eagle Series. It primarily makes up 15%, 10% of our total revenue. That price point is really, really low in the market. But yes, the quality of the shed is we 2x4s in the 424s, 24-inch in the walls. It's a value line of shed. You would think, well, if every customer's only focused on price, that's all we would sell. Honestly, it's 10 to 15% of our total overall revenue. So customers are looking for a great shed that is priced, in the market. It doesn't have to be the cheapest. They're not looking for, the highest of the highs. They're not looking for the lowest of the lows. They're looking for quality at a great price point. Okay. You wouldn't even think about then really the service piece comes into play. Customers want it to be easy. I tell dealers all the time, listen, your job is to sling sheds and sell the shed. It's not to schedule the delivery. It's not to follow up with customer service. It's not to handle this and that. I need you to sell the shed, call the next lead, sell that shed, call the next lead, sell that shed. Let us put technology in place behind you to make it super easy and super seamless for the customer. But I will say this, customers want a quality product. Here's an example. SDI in 2018, 2019, we used to sell the T111 sided board. And so, man, we're heavily involved in the community. SDI is always really trying to support, whether it's ministry, whether it's needs of the community. And so I remember seeing a T111 building that, man, it probably was 2 years old. It molded, had all that nastiness on it. And I said, I don't care if that costs $5. I can't put my name on that. I can't go to church on Sunday morning and say, hey, I just bought a T111 from you. And, it's molded. I just can't do that. So really what we're trying to do is really focus and mesh and try to find our identity. What is it? What do we want to do best? Number one, we want to build a great building. We want to build a unit that, 10, 15 years from now, you're going to look at that unit and say, I am super excited about that purchase. At the same time, we want it to be at a great price point that is in the industry and make it super easy for the customer to get in the unit, whether it's, processing the order, scheduling delivery, and delivery of the shed. So, but we are focused on building a building we can put our name on at the same time at a price point that is advantageous for all parties.
Yeah.
I think JW said something that I want to kind of circle back to as we get into another topic. It all kind of flows together. One of the things that we've seen in the steel side of things, the steel building side, is this kind of constant race to the bottom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think with COVID, it created a vacuum of interest with people where, well, I can build a shed, I can become a shed manufacturer, I'll start selling sheds. And then all of a sudden you get every Tom, Dick, and Harry coming in wanting to build sheds or wanting to, build metal buildings. And well, they've got tube steel scraps over here at the local manufacturer yard, and I'll just start buying tubing and I'll start making my own metal buildings and selling them. And what that's created is it's created this huge vacuum effect where all of a sudden the pricing is now based on something that isn't even a comparable option. And that's something that Mark and I have gone back and forth about is like, a lot of places out there will say, hey, we'll price match this or we'll price match that. And really what you're price matching is like 48 on center rafters, right? You've got maybe 36 wall studs. God only knows what you're using for building materials. It certainly isn't a quality product like LP, right? Goodness knows what it is. It could just be lined in 2x4s. You don't know what you're getting half the time. And I think from a dealer perspective, it has become extremely difficult to find those really reputable partners. Like for us, American Steel, cannot speak highly enough about our relationship with American Steel. Carolina Carports, Eagle, some of these really top tier metal building manufacturers that haven't been doing it for a couple of months or a couple of years. They've been doing it for decades. These are companies that are OG companies. That's where Dayton Barnes wants to be. And like for us, when the opportunity came along to work with you guys, I knew immediately because of the quality that I saw in the buildings that you produce, that's who I want to ride with. Mm-hmm. It's no longer a race to the bottom for me. I'd rather sell Cadillacs than Kias.
Right.
Nothing against Kias, you know what I'm saying? But Cadillac just carries that ambiance. And JW's heard me do this. The biggest comparison I can give you, the easiest one to understand, is when you're hot and it's muggy outside, it's 105, and you're looking for something cold to drink. An RC Cola might hit just fine, but you're still looking for a Coca-Cola. You're still looking for a Pepsi. You know what I mean? And that's where I get to in the shed and metal buildings is I've sold enough of these things. I've seen enough of them over the years. I've been all over the United States looking at buildings. I can tell you from a quality perspective, Sheds Direct is right up there with the best I've seen. And I got to give you guys all the props in the world for sticking to your guns on that, because the quality matters right now.
Mm-hmm.
And, talk to me a little bit about what you see. You heard my opinion. I want to hear your guys' opinion from a manufacturing side. And I know you don't speak for SDI as a company. So let me gravitas that with, if there's anything said here, this is just JW and Mark's opinion, right?
Yes.
So I want to hear from you guys on a personal level. How does that race to the bottom affect you guys in your current roles? How do you think it affects SDI and other manufacturers? Not just you guys, it affects everybody, the whole industry, right?
Yeah.
Hello, shed and carport industry. I'm Cord Cook, Chief Brand Strategist here at Shed Geek Marketing. Did you know that Shed Geek Marketing works with 45 shed companies and counting? And we are not slowing down in 2025. One of the neat benefits to working with Shed Geek Marketing is working with an agency as opposed to just an individual. When you work with Shed Geek Marketing, you have a team of professionals working diligently to ensure your success. From branding guidelines and brand books to websites, Google and Meta tag tracking that measures the traffic to your website and social media pages, CRM setup and full automation build-outs, lead funnel integration, and so much more. Worried about whether or not we can serve you? Don't be. Shed Geek Marketing works with manufacturers ranging from $1 million a year in sales up to $80 million a year in sales. There is no manufacturer too big or too small. Remember, marketing is an investment that should be making you money. That's why nearly 50 companies have decided to work with Shed Geek Marketing. So for more information, go to www.shedgeek.com and submit some basic information, and we'll reach out with a discovery call and patiently walk you through how we can best serve you. Thank you for your time and look forward to working with you.
Well, I can say this, everybody in the industry post-COVID is really struggling with understanding the manufacturing, understanding the margin, understanding really just the overall cost of doing business, especially with the tariff situation going on right now. That's changing daily. Okay.
Yep.
And we have had multiple, we had some conversations with a couple manufacturers recently and discussed this topic of race to the bottom. At the end of the day, I do, and it's so funny. My kids get upset at me because when we're dealing with the situation at home, I equate everything to really the game of baseball, right? That's what I know. That's what I enjoy. I equate that to the game of baseball. And I tell them it's like purchasing a bat. When I go to the sporting goods store and I'm looking at all the bats that are laid out there, it's an investment, right? This is not buying a shed. It's not just, hey, I need to throw a structure up in my backyard. Listen, it's an investment. My neighbors are going to see it. My family's going to see it. People in the community is going to see it. It's an investment that I want to be proud of. And so I tell them it's like buying a new baseball bat. I'm not going to buy the cheapest USA bat I can find. Yeah, it may be, it may say what it's going to say, and it may save me some money. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to do it. Now, am I going to buy the most expensive, crazy, something that's been, rolled and torqued and whatever they say? Probably not going to buy that either. But I'm going to buy something that I'm proud of, that I want to put in my son's hands or my daughter's hands, that says, you know what? At the end of the day, I invested my hard-earned money in that bat. That's a quality bat at a great price point, and it does everything I need it to do, and I'm proud of that, right? I have made some purchases in my day that I thought, man, this is a great deal. I'm going to save a bunch of money. And then 6 months later, I'm like, I'm an idiot. I knew better than to make that purchase, right? And so when it comes to Sheds Direct and just builders in general, the race to the bottom will get you to the bottom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And what we're trying to do is we're trying to set ourselves apart from the industry to say, look, we understand that right now, hey, listen, it's tough for everybody. I mean, yes, great things are happening, but you have to put in a tremendous amount of effort to be successful. But at the end of the day, we are not going to play in that game. I'm not going to be the cheapest in the market. I don't want to be the cheapest in the market. I want to put a building in your backyard that you can say, "Hey, Mr. Neighbor, come check this out." I want my neighbor to call me and say, "Dude, where'd you get that at, bro? I got to get one of those. That's awesome." At the same time, at a great price point, and make it super easy for the customer. That's really what our focus is. So, like I said, we can race to the bottom, but at the end of the day, that's going to put us all at the bottom of the ocean, and that's not where I want to be.
Yeah.
We struggled, right? So again, we've talked about this. We worked with other manufacturers. We've been other places. We loved the cheap price point. Matter of fact, Dayton Barnes ate it up and loved it, right? But what we figured out over time was that cheaper price point cost us other time down the road.
Yeah.
We were taking care of customers. So exactly what you said, Mark. We were not picking the phone up and selling sheds. We were picking the phone up to an upset customer. "Hey, my building's leaking. Hey, something's falling apart. Hey, something's come loose. Hey, I can't get a hold of the manufacturer. I've got a warranty question." I can't tell you how much time we wasted personally. And, that seems to always be the trend when you're working with the race to the bottom, right?
Yeah.
You end up at the bottom where, at the onset, it looks great. Everything's perfect. Oh man, we're slinging sheds left and right. But then 6 months into it, you're fielding phone calls. "Hey, I can't get a hold of person X. I can't get a hold of person Y. You're the only person who picks the phone up." And, I can tell you from a dealer perspective, if you are dealing with manufacturing problems with your buildings, you need to think about what you're doing.
Right.
It is a waste of your time. It's not your job. Your job as a dealer is to sell exactly what Mark said, and I'm so glad he said it. Your job is to pick the phone up or answer that Facebook message or that Google message or whatever and sell that shed. The manufacturer should be picking up everything on the backside of that deal, from transportation of the building to delivery to the customer's property to customer service after the fact. You should not be dealing with that. And if you are, you need to be getting paid commiserately for it or figuring something else out, because you are wasting time and you are going to find yourself upside down in a real hurry. And that's where we were. I mean, I can tell you, I still love our previous partners. I wish them well. They're doing well, but I was done with it. I was done with it from an overhead perspective. I was done with it from a customers being upset and frustrated perspective. We haven't had hardly any, fingers crossed, metal building negative reviews over the last couple of years. Most of our negative reviews are from wood sheds, from previous manufacturers. We're still getting them. We just got one the other day. Like, not even joking. We've been with SDI over a year now, and we're getting reviews from other manufacturers just now, now. And it makes us look bad, and we have to go above and beyond. And from a dealer perspective, it's lousy. So if you're sitting there thinking about anything that we've talked about, talk to me. My email's at the bottom, Jared@Dayton Barnes. I'm happy to walk you through. I'm happy to give you advice. I love what Mark said. I say it a lot on the podcast too. There's plenty of buildings to be sold. We're all in this industry together. We should all lock arms and do the best we can, because the industry needs us to step up and be the very best we can be, because everybody wins. A rising tide raises all boats. That's the way I look at things. I'm going to tell you this, guys. We have gone to the extent with just a little bit of topics today. I want to get you guys on. We're going to go to a part 2. I'm going to give a quick shout out to the guys over at J Money. They're there for you if you've got anything financing related. If you guys need help on a contracting project, if you're a metal building dealer or woodshed dealer, check out Shannon on Wednesdays on the Shed Geek podcast and the team over at Shed Geek Marketing. If you need help, if you are a struggling dealer right now, give the guys over at Shed Geek Marketing a call. They can get you set up all over the place price-wise. If you're worried about, hey, I don't want to spend money on marketing, give Dylan a call. He might be able to help you out with something. I can tell you guys, I always try to end the podcast on a positive note. get out in your community and do something good for somebody. Do something good for a neighbor, a friend. We are recording this on April the 17th. Tomorrow is Good Friday. Enjoy your holiday. You'll be seeing this after the fact, but I hope you guys had a great and happy and healthy Easter weekend, and a great holiday on Good Friday. Mark, JW, I'm going to keep you guys here, but we're going to transition into a part 2. So check us out next week as we finish up this conversation. We're going to give you guys some talking points and little things to move forward. How's that? Yeah. So I can tell you guys, I appreciate you listening to the Steel Kings podcast. As always, I am Jared. This is the Steel Kings podcast. We are going to check you guys out next week, and we'll be back with the guys at Sheds Direct. So y'all have a good week, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you guys.
Peace out.
Before you go, the J Money team wants to thank you for listening to today's Steel Kings podcast. Remember, money is king. If you need a financing option on your portable wood sheds or steel buildings, we are here to help. Just check out jmoneyllc.com for more information. Don't forget to catch the next episode. We'll still be here. Have a great day.